focused. Give it everything.
It's going to be so close.
This is very tight. Going wheel to wheel.
I'm going for it.
Through goes Hamilton.
It's not over yet.
Max Verstappen, champion of the world.
Not sure there's been this much excitement ahead of a season for years. Welcome to Australia. That is Isaac Hadjar.
Well, they're called rookies for a reason.
And there out is Jack Doohan.
Carlos Sainz has dropped it.
Oscar Piastri slides off into the grass. That is heartbreak for Oscar Piastri.
Someone that has really struggled, Liam Lawson.
Lando Norris, he picks up where he left off in Abu Dhabi.
A little bit of pressure. Congrats, basically at the start of the year.
That is one of the all-time great Formula One drives from Lando Norris.
Lewis Hamilton has gone to the Scuderia, and now the talking is going to stop.
Lewis Hamilton wins for Ferrari for the first time, and that very much suits you, sir.
Rome wasn't built in one day. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Nothing seems to faze Oscar too much, does it?
I've been hit by a sword.
Oscar Piastri wins the Chinese Grand Prix.
A perfect drive for Piastri, absolutely flawless.
Both Ferrari drivers have been disqualified, the latest to be chewed up and spat out.
There's been so much to talk about in the opening two races of the season, but as we arrived here in Japan for round three, obviously the big story that after just two races, Liam Lawson, jettisoned from Red Bull, moved back to the team with which he had 11 races last year, Racing Bulls, replaced by Yuki Tsunoda, who felt that the seat should have been his in the first place, and he's had a decent showing today in the first hour of practice. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Well, that was a bit bizarre. I don't know if you're just waking up and might have missed that second practice session, or what there was of a second practice session. 4 red flags we had for a crash for Jack Doohan, a heavy crash. Thankfully, he's okay. Fernando Alonso into the gravel, and then 2 further stoppages because the grass was on fire. Not a bit weird. Jacques Villeneuve and Naomi Schiff.
Beyond weird, because nobody got proper laps in. They didn't do any work today. Some cars got some laps. It's not representative. Well, the 2 McLarens are ahead because the car is easy to drive, so they can get...
Tell us what your trick is, because you seem to be at the right place at the right time throughout that session. I mean, you were there when Doohan went off. You were right there when the fire started. Tell me, when you saw the other cars coming around, did you really feel like Jack took a different approach to the corner than others, or was it just that aggressive input into the corner?
It looks aggressive. It looks, you know, just a tiny bit too much. Would have been okay on normal conditions with the tires really warm, no tailwind. But the team with the data might see that maybe the suspension failed. That's something we cannot really see now, but it looked very aggressive. And the way it pivoted right away was very surprising.
You make a really good point, Jack, with regards to he had no running at all because Ryo Hirakawa, one of the Alpine reserve drivers, was in there. And when you take it as a theme, these young rookies are under so much pressure at the moment. They literally are driving to survive. There is an element of sympathy here because we know that Franco Colapinto is waiting in the wings, and it doesn't take much for Flavio to probably leap into that.
Well, I mean, the talk of the weekend really is how Liam was demoted just after 2 races, and I think that sometimes may give inspiration to other teams to make tough decisions early on. So for Jack, we don't know how many races he's got to prove himself, and it is quite harsh to come to a circuit like this and pull him out on an FP1 that's so crucial around a track that's so technical, when he's got to learn the car, he's got to learn the characteristics around the circuit. I wonder why they didn't put Pierre out the car, who knows this track, he knows the car, he's been around here a couple of times. I don't know, it feels harsh, it feels harsh.
Yeah, but the problem is he's known before the first race that he probably would not finish this season. He's been put under tremendous pressure by Flavio mainly, with Colapinto there in the wing, and the writing was on the wall. And his driving has been one of desperation, having to prove that he's at least better than Gasly, so they should keep him when he's already been told that, look, you know, do a few races, but then you'll probably be replaced. And you can see it in his driving. It's not comfortable. It's really not comfortable. And when the driver is in that situation, even psychologically, the driving will not be natural, and small mistakes will start happening.
Okay, well, I mean, he wouldn't be the first this season, of course, because Yuki Tsunoda, as we say, looking to become the first Japanese driver to finish on the podium at a home race since Kamui Kobayashi back in 2012. He's got that opportunity because he's been promoted into the Red Bull seat in place of Liam Lawson. Here's a few of Yuki's highlights over the years.
Skibidi. I like Skibidi. Chicken wings.
As soon as they said Yuki Radio, what? You just knew what was coming, didn't you?
Honestly, this idiot. How did I just forgot?
We don't want to.
Well, I want to.
Yuki Tsunoda.
Honestly!
Not overly happy.
Maybe we need to find some pace.
I know, but this really sucks.
I am an absolute lover of Yuki Tsunoda's radio messages.
He's a fiery little character, isn't he?
Yuki, you can push harder.
Yeah, shut up!
Tsunoda swoops round the outside.
Yuki Tsunoda P3 tomorrow.
Well done. Well done, team.
As Yuki Tsunoda fights with Fernando Alonso. Oh, they get very close to each other, don't they?
Let's go! Ice Latte is working, baby. When I step into Red Bull, I don't know what to change. Emotionally, I'll be zen, you know.
Well, let's take a look at Yuki's day today. Man of the moment on home soil. Everyone wanted a piece of him. And but he seemed to soak up the pressure inside the car. He showed his car to drive. He got a bit lost coming into the pit lane, though. Isn't it my team? Ah, yes, it is my team. Well, they've changed. A very calm and measured and mature radio communication as well from Yuki to the Red Bull team. So I'm sure they would have been quite relieved with that. Obviously, there's a long way to go. But I think we can all say that Yuki's first day has been a good one. I think he's probably impressed quite a few people in the team as well, especially from what he did in FP1, just over 1/10 of a second away from the four-time world champion Max Verstappen. We can't really read anything into FP2. He didn't get a lap on the soft tyres. We know with those 4 red flags that everyone was compromised there. He was one of them. So yeah, let's see how it goes for him tomorrow. Back to you, Simon.
Thanks, Ant. Yeah, it's zen, Yuki, as he's arrived in Red Bull, isn't he? He's got his peace is all around him as he gets in and puts the visor down. Craig's just been having a quick word with Dr. Marco for Sky Sports News, and Dr. Marco said he answered a few questions. I know it's only one session and 20 minutes, but nevertheless, he's got off on the front foot there, Jacques.
Yeah, he did. It looks like he spent his week in his Japanese garden, you know, chilling and relaxing, because we're not used to seeing him so relaxed and answering so calmly on the radio either. Maybe the fact that he's finally been put in a big team, he feels at home. He feels comfortable. So, okay, now I am where I deserve to be. Let's see how it carries on for the rest of the weekend. But so far, he's doing the right job.
Well, Laurent Mekies, when he came out of the, I say the motorhome, but they're not motorhomes, they're tents here where the teams are housed. It was like, as I said, the Japanese Beetle had just walked out because he was being mobbed and had time to sign a few autographs before he went into the back of the garage. The thing with Yuki is, as you said, he used to be fiery, but we heard from Laurent Mekies about, obviously he was really disappointed when he heard that Liam Lawson was going to get into the car. He went away and he didn't let it get him down. He clearly thought, well, he's seen how everybody else has struggled against Max Verstappen, worked really hard in the winter and come back and found an extra gear. Would that be what you saw for him in the first couple of races?
It feels as though he's really rebounded in a great way. I mean, there's no time to be down and frown about it. Things move quickly, and as you can see, things change very quickly as well. So the only thing that Yuki had to focus on was doing his job and being ready to rise up to the occasion when they came calling. So here we are, and the question is he going to rise up to the occasion? So far, it's been a great start. Of course, there's still going to be challenges along the way, and one of them is the emotional side of things, whether he can, you know, maintain this cool zen character that we've seen today so far. But he's been under no real pressure, let's be honest. But it has been one of the things he's been working on a lot with the team, but also his feedback from a technical perspective. So hopefully he's going to be able to bring something to that team, especially when it comes to development of the car.
Yeah, the other thing that they've got to get right is the car, because we heard over the radio today from Max, it's flexing in the first practice session. Then he said it's understeering everywhere in the second one. And Yuki himself saying, look, it's interesting. What he means by interesting probably was along the lines of what Max was saying.
Oh, he could have said it's odd, it's strange to drive. Yeah. But if a car is flexing, normally it's the rear end. We used to have that in the 80s, 90s. It's a rare thing to hear in modern days. So something, the suspension on the gearbox, on the chassis where it's attached to the engine. And that's when you hit a curb or when there's a big load, and that creates understeer, a lot of it. But also you could have a very stiff rear end, so make it oversteer, and suddenly it moves a little bit and creates the understeer, and that makes the car unpredictable.
They're all stiff, aren't they? They're running, all the cars are having to run stiff just because of these regulations, and it's creating a whole raft of problems and a lot of sparks on track.
And this is also the kind of circuit where you need a pointier front end to sort of get the rear of the car to rotate. And this is a track that should theoretically, on paper, suit the Red Bull. But today, that just hasn't been the case. They've been struggling everywhere, as it seems, and they're going to have a lot of work overnight to get that car in a position to fight for the front.
Okay, well, it is the final year, isn't it, with Red Bull having Honda engines. They've paid tribute with the livery this weekend in the colours of the Japanese flag, white and red, and you saw that with the race suits as well. And on Wednesday, show runs in downtown Tokyo for the Red Bull family.
We are here in Tokyo doing a show run. It's really cool seeing all the fans around the course. Being able to drive the RB16V is bringing back great memories. It was also really fun and great car to drive. To jump in again was really nice.
A couple of runs with RB7. First time I drove, sounded nice, iconic sounds. Driving with the Max, you know, with a different generation car. It looks really, really cool. Driving Formula 1 car in Tokyo, it's blown my mind. That was also the moment I was dreaming for.
I'm just excited. It's a track that I've raced it in the past. It's quite old school, which is really fun for us drivers. It's exciting to be racing this week.
I always dreamed of this moment, driving an F1 car around Suzuka. It's finally happening this weekend. Cannot wait to hit the track.
I hope the fans enjoyed it, the noise as well, and of course the different cars.
I'm very honored and very excited to be able to drive with Red Bull. Let's see how it goes.
Well, it looks like they had a lot of fun in Japan, but one of those four drivers who may have had a little bit less of a smile on their face was Liam Lawson, and rightfully so, after having been demoted after just 2 races after his debut at Red Bull Racing, back down to Racing Bulls. Here's what his colleagues in the paddock had to say about the abrupt move.
It's nothing new, no? It's just the Red Bull and the way things are handled in Red Bull and the way things go in Red Bull. We've seen it in the last 10 years in Formula 1 or since I'm in F1 that's the way things are done there, and one day you get the chance, the next day if you don't do exactly the way you're expected to do, you get the upgrade or the downgrade, you know, and that's the way things are at Red Bull. So yeah, no news for me.
It's not easy for us, especially after 2 races. I think it's a bit of a quick decision and not one that I agree with, but I think it's nice now for Liam to find his feet and to go again, because I think he's a great driver, and you know, like the other rookies, he has a lot of pressure, and to have a new beginning is nice.
You know, I think what's really important in academy is to get the right support, like I get with Mercedes as well. So, and also good people that support you all the way, especially in different moments. So obviously it was quite unexpected, but I think he can do well in the V-Carb this weekend.
2 races is not long to figure things out, and I think Liam, you know, I've raced against Liam a lot in the junior categories, and you know, I think these 2 races weren't representative of what he's capable of.
I think that Liam's got a great opportunity. I feel like for Liam, if I was in his shoes, I'd have a huge amount of determination and grit to prove how he can bounce back. I think that's an amazing story that he can tell, and he can own that. And I think he's got the talent to, and I think he can really, you know, put himself immediately on the radar back again. Not that I don't think he needs to, but it would be good for him and good to quieten everything down a bit, just focusing on himself. Yeah, he'll do a good job.
Well, if anyone knows, Alex knows, Pierre Gasly knows, that, you know, many of them know what it's like to go up against Max Verstappen. Christian Horner joined us after the opening practice session. He said, look, we just had to rip the sticking plaster off, admit that they've made a mistake and that it was too soon for him, really.
Red Bull is a tough place to be in. They give drivers, a lot of drivers, a chance. Not many teams do that. And from a young age, they follow them, they help them, but it's a double-edged sword.
What you're aware of, though, is that he is coming in to Red Bull as the number 2 driver. He is there solely, well, he's there obviously to race for himself, but to support Max Verstappen in a season that could well be quite tight. He's the number 1 driver. The 2 nearest rivals, well, let's take the 3 nearest rivals. You've got George potentially who could challenge for it, we think, but then both of the Ferraris and both of the McLarens who will be taking points off each other.
They will. And that's why Red Bull needs a driver that helps Max develop the car. Max cannot do it alone. So they need a driver that drives similarly to him, that can drive a similar kind of car that's on the nose. You don't want drivers that are worlds apart in their way of driving, but they need to share the workload so that Max can focus on winning races. And Yuki wants to prove that they should keep him for the future because he's a Honda driver. He's not a Red Bull driver.
Well, in all these situations, there's always a driver who comes out on top. And this time around, it's Yuki Tsunoda. So why don't we hear what he has to say after his first day in the Red Bull?
Hi, Yuki. How was session 1 for you? Obviously, you didn't set a sort of representative run in FP2, but in FP1, you certainly looked comfortable.
Yeah, FP1 was better than expected. Yeah, good start for myself, and FP2, yeah, I didn't set a lap time. I think lots of work to do. Maybe, yeah, slightly struggled, or something that we have to look through data in FP2 more. But yeah, so far, I mean, overall it's okay. Yeah, just have to build up confidence more.
You spoke before the weekend about the car feeling okay in the simulator. Now you've had a chance to get out there and drive it in real life. How does it feel? We've heard so much about how this car handles.
It's a bit different to the simulator, what I felt, to be honest. Maybe a little bit more than I expected in terms of car feeling. But yeah, I knew anyway it's gonna be always a bit different in the real car, and yeah, it was just a little bit more exaggerated in the real car. That's yeah, feeling a bit more tricky.
So certainly not without its challenges, but off to a great start. In the meantime, Ted has got an update from us from Alpine.
Yes, thank you very much, Naomi. Now, if you were watching us in Free Practice 2, you would have seen the quite horrific accident of Jack Doohan into turn 1. We haven't seen a crash at this speed and with this kind of impact, certainly in the whole of 2025, and well, I can't think when back to 2024. 185 miles an hour. Just think about that. Think if you've been naughty and gone on the motorway and you've done 15 miles an hour over the speed limit at 85 miles an hour. And think about 100 miles an hour more than that. It's shocking, really. And it was an accident into the barriers at turn 1, a spin, and then into the barriers at turn 1 that really shocked the whole pit lane. We'll get onto the car in a minute. The important thing is that Jack Doohan himself is okay. So he spent a bit of time at the medical center. They wanted to check what his physical body and then his head, whether he suffered a concussion. And the team have confirmed to me that there was no concussion suffered by Jack Doohan, which is very good after the checks at the medical center. They have confirmed that the accident was at 300 kilometers an hour, so that is 185 miles an hour. And the other crucial thing that the team are doing is checking the data as to see whether anything was wrong on the car. So inconclusive at the moment, no conclusions. See whether anything broke on the car that they need to know about, of course, for the future, not only for Jack Doohan for the rest of the weekend in the rebuilt car, but also for his teammate Pierre Gasly, and to better understand whether they have some kind of manufacturing or design issue with the car itself. So they're going through the data at the moment. It was actually Jack Doohan's second push lap. He'd done 4 laps already in the day, didn't do free practice 1, but did do free practice 2. So he'd been out, done an out lap, he'd done 1 hot lap, and was at the beginning of his second hot lap when the actual accident happened. So we are expecting, Jack's in the debrief with the engineers at the moment, and we're expecting him to actually come and do an interview interview at the end of this run of hospitality units down at the pen there. So hopefully we'll hear from him before the end of the program. So that's the Jack Doohan update. Let's talk to you just briefly about the car. It does appear the car is back in the garage and they're busy taking it apart. But if the side impact structure, which was certainly affected, was crashed, isn't able to be repaired, then they may well need to build up the spare tub, the spare chassis. And the Alpine mechanics knew instantly that was a definite possibility, and that's why they got the forklift out of storage. They got the spare tub in the box. This is the box, and they got it ready to go if they need it. There's a chap from the FIA's technical department here as well, just to see whether they need any input in that decision as well. But yeah, a really, really nasty crash. One of the three, or rather the first of the three red flags that we had yet. But the really important thing, 185 miles an hour into turn one at Suzuka. Really nasty stuff. The most important thing, Jack Doohan is essentially okay. Shaken, but certainly yeah, unharmed otherwise from that.
Well, thank you to Ted for that update. It's great to hear that Jack is feeling okay. Nevertheless, a lot of work for the team overnight. We're going to take a little break, but stick around because after the break, I'll be talking to the other local hero, Aya Komatsu, team principal at Haas. Stick around.
Come on, Yuki!
Fabulous fans at a fabulous circuit, one the drivers love just as much.
Great track, you know, great fans, one of the best weekends for drivers. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to jump in the car and see how the car performs here.
It's the one I've been looking for the most since I'm a kid, to drive it in an F1 car, and it's finally happening tomorrow. So yeah, I feel like this track is just suited, is made around Formula One, so yeah, I can't wait.
Suzuka is one of the favorite tracks of every Formula One driver. I don't think there is anyone that dislikes this track, you know.
It's exciting to be here. It's a track that, I mean, I think we all like as drivers, and it's one of my favorite tracks to drive on, so yeah, I'm very excited.
I really, really enjoyed driving here. It was with the Super Formula car, which is also an amazing car. But I think in F1 it will be even crazier. So really, really excited to get out there, and the fans have been fantastic so far.
It's an amazing circuit, as you said. One of my all-time favorites, if not my favorite of the calendar. So I'm super stoked to get out there.
Yeah, I love that track. That's obviously the highlight of the year for me. Coming here, you know, the support we got, it's just insane. It's a little bit of a home race, you know, with our team principal, you know, being Japanese. So yeah, it's extremely special. Shanghai has been a good one, so we are all energized, you know, to come here.
Well, Aya, first of all, thank you for joining me. We've just been hearing from the drivers how much they love it around here, and even your driver, Esteban Ocon, naming it somewhat of a home race for you guys, with you being the team principal. So could you maybe help bring our fans into the car a little bit by telling them what makes the circuit so special?
This circuit, there's no easy corner, and then sector one, that sequence of corner, you really need a good rhythm. You need to get everything perfect, so both the car needs to be good, and then driver needs to drive where everything needs to be in sync. So it's a challenge everywhere. You know, the turn 8, turn 9 with a double right-hander, that's a pretty challenging corner as well. So yeah, overall, it's a really challenging track. It's always good to come here.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's pretty much fair to say that you're the second most loved person around here. You're clearly a favorite around here and a sort of a home local hero. Tell me, how does it feel to come back here a year after being team principal at Haas? Do you feel like there's been a lot of change in the year, and do you feel more comfortable coming around to all the races a second time?
I mean, like, I've been coming here for, what, 8 seasons? I think I've done 8 races here. But every single time, just fans are amazing. You know, they're so knowledgeable about the sport, so enthusiastic. As they don't just give gifts to the drivers, they prepare gifts for everyone, right? So we all feel really welcomed here. So I think all the team members, they're really looking forward to come here every year. And then for me, yeah, it's pretty special. Of course, many years ago when I was a kid, I grew up watching Formula One, and then both, I think it was 89, 90, was the title decider here with Senna and Prost. That's what got me into Formula One. So come back here, actually working in Formula One is pretty special.
Certainly a special place. I can imagine how special it is for you. But I just want to get a little bit more on how you've evolved in your team principal role over the last year. How much have things changed in the year?
But I always said that we got really good people, so it's a matter of putting it together, providing an environment that people can thrive, and then really communicating what we're doing as a team across the company so everyone knows where the team is going. So yeah, I'm really happy that we are coming together as a team, and then you can see how much performance we put on the car last year. And then again, you know, Melbourne, we had a very difficult weekend. All of us, that was shock to us. But for me, that's really how you get up from that point as a team, you know, without having that blame culture. You know, again, I think I'm really encouraged that we brought the new parts here on the back of that Melbourne car issue. And then we proved it in FP2 that it's actually going in the right direction. So I'm really proud of everyone in the team that even in the extremely challenging times, we're sticking together, supporting each other.
Yeah, it was a great weekend out in China. A lot of points on the boards for you guys. The team looks very different this year, though. You had 2 drivers last year that were very well known to the team. This year, you've got 2 new faces to the team. Obviously, Esteban Ocon's been in this paddock for a long time, but you've also got young Ollie Behrman in the seat, who's brand new to Formula One. So how's the environment changed sort of with these 2 new faces in the team?
No, I mean, like last year, you know, especially with Nico, you know, we had a very good relationship, and then we understood how to unlock the performance from Nico. So basically, we knew that we had to do the same with new drivers. Ollie, of course, we knew him a little bit more than Esteban because he's done FP1 with us before. But it's really, you know, getting the best human performance out of both drivers, and we're working really well together, and then both drivers, each other, and then with the team. Again, especially after that Melbourne, nobody shied away from, you know, tough tasks, and then both Esteban and Ollie is a central part of that to bringing these updates here. So yeah, we really enjoy working together.
Well, as you touched on, Australia was obviously a really challenging weekend for you guys, but China was fantastic. So what's the feedback from the drivers after having 2 weekends with the team? Are they feeling a lot happier, and are they happy with the direction of the car? Are they comfortable?
I think we all know that we still haven't solved the fundamental issue of the car. Yes, with this new floor here in Suzuka, looks like we made an improvement, but I know that it's not the full solution. So, and then in China, what's encouraging is that when the circuit allowed us to basically run the car in the way that we wanted to run, we capitalized on it. And every single session we ran something, we improved the car. And then on Sunday, you know, both the team and driver put a great performance to score 14 points. So that's encouraging. That's something we couldn't really do last year. So obviously coming here Suzuka, again, we knew we came here with open-minded, so we still got lots of work to do really to find a bit more performance from the car, but key is really to stick together and work as a team.
Okay, well, we can't wait to see how it evolves. Thank you so much for your time. In the meantime, we're going to head to Anne to see Oscar Piastri's fastest lap in FP2.
Thanks, Naomi. Yeah, so here we go. Oscar Piastri's fastest laps. You run down the hill towards turn 1. You got the DRS on. I'm just going to stop it just before he turns in. Oh, I've just missed it. I missed my mark because what we're looking at here are the lights. See these 2 green lights? As he deactivates the DRS, you'll see it goes to a bigger block of green, and that's him physically changing it on the steering wheel before he commits to the corner. So now no DRS through into turn 1 because you're flat out on the entry. Through turn 2 you go, you get the car to the right hand side to open up 3, then into 4, carry the speed there and do the same process but in reverse through you want to take it. Now into 11, just going to slow it down for you here. One of the slowest corners on the track. He decides to go a bit wider. He slows the car right down there and helps to pivot the car. He pinches it there to get a nice straight exit, and that rewards him with a lot of traction. and that lives with you all the way up the hill here through this long right-hander of turn 12. Now I'm going to stop it again because this is another sign of immense confidence on the track and in this car from Piastri. He is using all of the circuit and more. This is what you want to see, using this green part of the tarmac. It is painted, so the drivers sneak onto that, but it does take a lot of confidence at that speed. Through turn 13, briefly on the throttle again, and then bring the car back to the left-hand side to straight line the braking as much as he can. He actually misses the apex ever so slightly of 16, but gets 17 pretty nicely hooked up. And yeah, I can barely keep up with him on this lap around this circuit. It's such high-speed stuff, but you have to be really precise as well. We all love this track as drivers. Back to you, Simon.
They all say they love it, but they don't say particularly why they love it, which is what I'm hoping Jack can explain to me. The 1997 world champion, which is why we've relocated to Williams, and on both of 1996 and 1997 you were on pole position here. What is it about Suzuka that is so fun to drive?
You feel you're going somewhere, for starters, and it's a track that has a rhythm to it. There's a logic, it flows, you know, like skiing, like the old-fashioned track, as if someone had taken a motorbike or motocross and driven around, and then the track just started happening logically, and you feel that when you drive. It goes up, it goes down. It's very demanding, and there's a lot of corners where you have to tell your foot, stay down. The car can take it, and you have to go beyond your own limit, and that makes it exciting.
It's funny, when you talk to Damon about it as well, in 1994, this was probably his finest race, the one that he did Suzuki in the wet, and he said when he was going through the S's, he felt like he was almost possessed by something, but he just felt he was like a bat out of hell up there. That must be one of the most satisfying stretches in all of Formula One, right?
It is. Every time you arrive there, you know that you'll be on the edge, and that you have to kind of limit yourself, because if you go to the maximum in a corner, you'll mess up the following one. So you have to almost stop yourself from going to the limit to make sure that the following corner is good, and so on and so on. And it's all a succession of perfect corners you have to do. And once you've done that whole section, you almost hold your breath the whole time.
Yeah.
You get to the hairpin, and you finally can start breathing a bit, think, oh, wow, okay, that was good, that felt good, or it was awful.
Was it your favorite track?
Yeah, that ranks in the top 3 tracks, definitely.
It does, along with, you're going to say Spa?
And a non-Formula 1 track, Elkhart Lake.
Okay, right, there we are. But it's always fascinating to hear, it really is. Just, I mean, none of us, I suppose, can imagine what it's like to go through those S's in particular, but it's a magnificent track, an absolute classic. We know that. Right, we're going to take a short break. On the other side of that, we're going to add to our guest list and bring in Valtteri Bottas, mullet and all, reserve driver down at Mercedes, of course. Welcome back. It was overnight back in the UK. In case you missed either of those sessions, let's go back to London to the Sky Pad. Anthony's going to wrap up the day for you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Suzuka, always a spectacular circuit to come to drive around, and for the fans to behold their hero, Yuki Tsunoda, who stepped up to the A-team while we had demotion. Liam Lawson back to his old, so the Mercedes struggling there as well. And then Albon's teammate, Carlos Sainz, really still not looking at home in that Williams, just locking up the inside front into that final chicane. The track looking spectacular, maybe the grass looking a little bit yellow, a little bit parched, and Sainz really feeling that the car was bottoming. Finally, the last red flag of 4 with more fires around the track. So you wonder what they're going to do with this. You can see how yellow it all is. They've had a very dry winter, it seems, there in Japan, in this part of Japan. And you wonder what they're going to do. They have to do something, because qualifying, you're going to run the cars low to the ground as well. You're going to cause more sparks. And the last thing you want in qualifying are more red flags. So they've got to get on top of it. And the drivers have to get on top of this circuit as well. They've got to have the time to get on top of this circuit.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get on top of it. Everything is extremely well organised here in Japan, so you think they'd put in a solution ahead of qualifying and the 3rd hour of practice tomorrow. Right, quick whiz through then of the driver standings after 2 rounds. Lando Norris with an 8-point gap to Max Verstappen, but Max driving his way around the problems with that capricious Red Bull at the moment. 1 point ahead of George Russell, who, as Anthony was saying, just quietly going about his work this weekend. Oscar Piastri also has won a race the last time out, and they're going blow for blow, the two McLaren drivers. Kimi Antonelli has started life very well at Mercedes, and is 12 points adrift of him. Good starts to the season as well for Alex Albon, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, though, for Ferrari. It is their worst start to a year since 2010. 6 still to get off the mark, including a fair few of them being rookies. In the Constructors, it is the reigning Constructors that have a 21-point lead. The customer team over the Works Mercedes outfit, and then a further 21 to Red Bull. Just seeing Valtteri Bottas moving towards us. We're going to hear from him shortly. First of all, let's hear from a few of the other drivers.
I mean, it's pretty good. I think we're still in a good position. I think it's tricky just because of the wind. Wind makes a big difference, especially on a circuit like this when it's so quick. You're on like such a fine limit for such a long time, like the first sector. The tiniest bit of wind can really upset the car quite a lot. So I think, to be honest, I'm sure everyone's struggling with a similar thing. I still feel good. I still feel like we're in a reasonable place. We made some steps forward, but still some things to try and improve for tomorrow. So happy enough for a Friday.
When it's gusty like this, I don't think you have the same car 2 laps in a row. So it's been a pretty tricky day. Obviously FP2 was pretty stop-start, so it was hard to get into a rhythm. But I think by the end of the day, I felt reasonably comfortable. Still some fine-tuning to go. I think there's been some things I've been happy with today, but it's not been the easiest overall.
Pretty positive day, to be honest. The car's been handling really nicely, and I've been pretty pleased with that, to be honest. So we've got to make sure it stays the same for tomorrow. The wind is playing a big factor. It's really windy out there, and tomorrow the wind's going to shift 180 degrees. So that's going to really change how the car's feeling. But I'm confident we can be in the mix for fighting for the front 2 rows.
Today's been quite difficult for me, just trying a lot of different things with the car, but it seems like a lot of things are not really clicking at the moment, and yeah, quite difficult just to put the lap down. You need a lot of confidence and commitment around here, and at the moment I don't feel like I can use that, so we still have a bit of work to do.
Yeah, it might be a busy night down at Red Bull, obviously trying to get on top of their issues. Right, it's lovely to see Valtteri Bottas back in Mercedes kit. And may I just compliment you, by the way, on the tash and the mullet now are absolutely on point. Have you been working hard in the winter period on them?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we've been working hard on the look, and I feel like getting there step by step.
I have to ask, because I've been struggling a lot with the wind today, do you think if I did that, it would be more aerodynamic?
I think there's a slight aero benefit.
Okay.
You know, I ride my bicycle quite a lot, and since I had the mullet, my average speed has gone up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll need to consider this, guys.
We
all
should
of us.
consider it. I mean, if I could get one, I'd try. But yeah, how are you for a start? And how is it? I know it must be frustrating, bearing in mind you know what it's like to drive a Mercedes, to have the watching brief. At least for this year, have you got your eyes on Cadillac or anywhere else, do you think?
I'm good, of course, yeah. I always knew it's going to be a different role, different feeling being at the race week. It's not non-racing, but I think it's still, for me, the best thing to do is to be part of a good team. It's nice to be part of a good brand and be around and still keep up to date what's happening in Formula One, as it is a sport that evolves so quickly within 1 year. But I would love to be racing. That's the goal ultimately. Whatever opportunities there may be, you know, of course, I'll be looking around.
Yeah, you just said you would love to be racing. That's understandable. But when you compare the last couple of years, which was not a fun team compared to what you had been used to, would you still prefer to be in that situation, or what you're doing now in a family that, you know, loves you, that you've been part of for a long time?
I feel like sometimes things happen for a reason. You know, I think I'm in a good place at the moment here, and you know, as there were no seats for next year, I really think I'm in a good place. But yeah, of course, need to consider if there will be opportunities. What are the opportunities? What are the realistic targets? And what makes sense for me? So yeah, those things I need to evaluate when if and things will open.
Well, we understand this is not the ultimate situation because drivers always want to have a steering wheel in their hands. We get that, Valtteri. But does it feel like somewhat of a safe spot to land? It's a team that you know very, very well. And I actually wonder, how much has it changed since the last time you were here? Has there been change, or does it feel very, very familiar?
I think it's been like more or less what I expected, normal evolution. The team has grown. You know, the people have changed as they always do in this sport. The factory has been upgraded. It's a strong team, and I think they've shown that they made progress, at least so far this season, from last year. And mentality is still the same. We still have Toto as a leader, and he hates losing. So that's a good thing to see, that hunger for the win hasn't disappeared at all.
Fantastic.
Well, how do you keep your racing shape in place? That's the main thing, because you know there's driving, there's being part of a team, there's a lot that is being part of an F1 driver, but the racing spirit, the mojo, let's say, how you keep that alive if you come back?
Of course, for me, important thing this year, whatever I was going to decide and what the opportunities were, that I can do some testing. I think that's the key for me. I've done, actually last week I was back on track with McLaren. That was good fun. And we've got quite a few tests lined up with Mercedes, some of the TPC stuff, etc. So for now, I'll see if that is enough. If I feel like that's not enough to keep that racing fitness and shape, then I got to look at doing one-off races, but so far so good.
Good memories, though, obviously, of Suzuka. You've won here in the past. Was it 2019, I think it was? I was just actually trying to understand what are your memories from this day, and tell us what it's like to drive and win around Suzuka.
Amazing win. I think if you can win Japanese Grand Prix in a career, you're pretty lucky, and really proud to say that I was able to do that in 19. It was one of my best race starts, I think. I started P3, got in the lead, and just a really clean race. But this track, since I first raced here in 2013, immediately became my favorite track. So it's so much fun.
Well,
you know.
How? Because he was trying to explain it to us, to explain to people at home. What is it that just makes you go, the tuning fork kind of thing?
It's just the flow. And there's actually much more elevation, gain and loss than you see from TV. And in the car, you really feel that, you know, you're going up and down, left and right. It's just the flow that this track has.
We know you're not an extra part here, right? You are standing around, but you're doing a lot of work. You're an integral part of the team, and I'm sure you've been watching Mercedes' progress over the last couple of years. Have you already been able to highlight some issues and help the team in the right direction? I know that that's a big part of why you're here as well. Yeah, I'm trying to be useful. You know, I'm trying to use my experience, and especially with Kimi again, like this weekend, it's a new track for him. I've tried to give him a tip or two, and yeah, I'm part of all the meetings, and if I have a feeling that I can actually contribute and give, you know, my view on certain things, I will, and there's been a couple of cases already that I've kind of jumped in a little bit, but of course the team is full of very talented engineers, and I don't want to be that driver who's doing the engineering, so I only jump in if I really feel like I can help.
There's a lot of Bottas fans out there, Valtteri. 2026, can you give them a message about where you might be? Anything in discussions?
Of course there's discussions.
Of course. That's what
you know,
I want to hear.
I'm a driver who wants to get back on the grid, so of course, you know, that's the target. I'm not done yet with the sport yet. So.
We would love to see you back on the grid. In the meantime, continue with the great mullet action and
Thank you,
Tash. And we will see you tomorrow for the third practice session. Qualifying gets underway from 6 o'clock. It's the McLaren's fastest in both of those sessions. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
We're here in the first few corners of the track, and this is a section that you remember as a driver. It's fast, it's complex, it's risky, and once you've done a good section here, you feel great.
Poor Liam Lawson, but is he just the latest to suffer the Red Bull second seat curse? In fact, the last person to come to this team and make an instant impact was...
You come here after, well, a brilliant Chinese Grand Prix.
You know, things go wrong all the time in Formula One. It's kind of the nature, and I felt like China was quite a good rebound from Australia. So I was quite happy.
You know, everything just came together in once, very quickly. They're able to jump into the top team car, which you have a bit more chance, I guess, to finish high end. So I just can't wait. Yeah.
Sky Sports F1.